Hello, in this video I'm going to be giving a brief overview of all the formable holds that you can form when you're playing as a Dwarven adventurer. So first off, Khugdihr. So this hold is the home of the Agate dwarfs, and their theme is mostly about refounding the Azra Bank and doing like finance and money lending to the like humans and stuff over in Canor, and also about vassalizing and protecting the stone dwarfs over here in Escan. And then the next hold is Haraz Orldhum. So these are the platinum dwarves, and they're kind of like snobby elitists. And their missions are heavily focused around just like mass enslaving all of the orcs and just like being these elite slave owner kind of guys. Pretty unpleasant people. And then the next hold is Amldihr. If you're forming this, you don't want to actually play as these guys here because these are orcs, right? What you need to do is you need to play as one of the Dwarven adventurers and then migrate over here and take it over. Back when all the dwarves were under a single empire, Amldihr here was like the throne of the empire, and so a lot of their missions are focused around like sort of reclaiming the entire empire and reforming all Dwarov. So then there's Orlazam-az-Dihr. So these are the Ramsteel dwarves, and they are all about cavalry. So dwarves in general have pretty bad cavalry. All of the short races in this game have malices to using cav. So goblins, halflings, gnomes, dwarves all have worse than average cav. But these guys in particular, they are all about making really strong cavalry units. So all of their missions and their national ideas are all about getting really strong cavalry. Next is the Sapphire Dwarves in Dur-Vazhatun. And these guys are like very sciencey. So a lot of their missions are revolved around using like telescopes to investigate space and doing sciencey stuff like that. There's the next one is Er-Natvir, and these guys back in when the dwarves were in a single empire in All Dwarov, this was like the central hub for the railways, and so their missions are a lot like focused around repairing the ancient dwarven railways. I played them, and their missions are kind of boring. Honestly, I don't recommend them. And then there's Mithradhum. So this hold is special in that it always spawns like Mithril. So you have Mithril in your hold, and Mithril is an extremely valuable resource. So this hold is very lucrative. A lot of their missions are about like mercenaries, and especially some of their missions are about renting out condottieri to other countries, which I think is a really annoying mechanic. So I didn't really enjoy their missions a whole lot, even though it's cool that they can produce mithril. There's Verkal Kozenad. So these guys don't have missions yet, so you probably don't want to play them, but the wiki describes them as being the home of spy masters, fate, and thievery. Here's another hold that doesn't have missions yet, Hul-Jorkad, and they are being described as the home of plumbing, advanced sewers, and engineering. So I guess if like your dream was to be a sanitation worker, you should be very excited for these guys to eventually get missions. There's Gor Burad. They're the basalt dwarfs, and they kind of have anger issues, and they also decided to build their hold inside of an active volcano. So their missions are kind of about like managing the fallout from building your hold inside an active volcano, and also dealing with their anger issues. Over here is Verkal Skomdihr. So dwarves are like very known for like mining and working with stone and stuff, but the dwarves over here kind of fancy themselves as carpenters, and so their missions are very about like expanding out here into the deep woods, taking it over and making a big like lumber industry, forestry industry, and then bringing all the wood back and making a nice, beautiful wooden hold over here. Over here is Orlghelovar, and these guys' missions focus a lot around glass, which sounds kind of boring initially, but they do a lot of stuff. They have like glass products that they sell over to the humans and the elves, and then they like get more advanced and they start using glass to light up their caverns, and eventually they start making like laser guns out of glass. And these guys, so they're kind of like sciency, and they unlock artificers early. So if you want to play a game as like dwarven artificers, these are probably the guys you want to choose. Over down here is Shazstundihr, and this hold is their missions are focused sort of around expanding out into Ball War, and they're very like tolerant, and they basically create a hold where all of the races can kind of get along, whether they're goblins, dwarves, elves, or humans. Down here's another one that doesn't have any missions, Gor Vazumbrog. So these guys were like a vault where the ancient Dwarven Empire would store a lot of its like dangerous equipment, like and military stuff. So it has a bunch of like very dangerous advanced tech, like golems and stuff like that. They don't have missions yet, so we don't really know specifically what they're about. Here's another one, Hehodovar, that doesn't have missions. They're described as being like great builders and stuff, so their missions, when they eventually do get them, will probably be about like mostly development and constructing buildings and stuff like that. Another one that doesn't have missions yet is Gor Ozumbrog, and they're described as being like very militaristic, so they're probably sort of like the Dwarven Prussia, I guess. Ovdal-az-An, they also don't have missions yet, and they are described as being like very devout and religious. And so if you see here, like most dwarves follow ancestor worship now, but the dwarves that are going to be in this hold, they are very like devout followers of the original Dwarven pantheon. So I imagine when they do get missions, it'll probably be very focused around like taking over other holds and converting them back to the old ways of the Dwarven pantheon. And now finally, lastly, we got one that actually does have missions, is Hul-az-Krakazol. So these guys are the beer dwarfs. They're all about like alcohol. They find an ancient brewery. They make some really good like alcoholic drinks. That's their whole theme pretty much. Their mission tree gets pretty crazy towards the end. I'm not gonna spoil it here though. If you need help finding out how to form Hul-az-Krakazol, then I also have a video that tells you how to form this hold, so you can go click that as well.